It's been something like 2 years now since I first played Prey 2017 and fell head over heels for what was essentially Deus Ex in space, and I still can't take my mind off it. Every time I play a new game, all I can think about is how much it isn't Prey 2017, and how I would much rather be playing Prey 2017. That's the unfortunate lens with which I reviewed Dishonored, as I finally got around to finishing it some 8 years after everyone else already had, and 4 years after everyone had already finished its sequel. The too long didn't watch version of this is that I liked Dishonored, thought it had some wonderful mechanics and world building, but it is let down by bad writing and a weak ass ending.
The Empress is dead. Her daughter Emily is hidden away, and no one will ever know the truth.
Sending the Empress's bodyguard away for a couple of months. That's unusual.
Well, this was important. We need help with the rat plague.
You play as Corvo, Lord Protector, who is accused of murdering the Empress and kidnapping her daughter Emily. You get arrested, sent to jail, broken out by royalist loyalists, and get tasked with taking down the corrupt haughty-taughty traitors that kicked off this whole mess in the first place. Dishonored is a fascinating example of a game with wonderful world building but absolutely abysmal writing. Every character talks like a Victorian automaton that is terrified that if they show any kind of emotion, they're going to be sent to the scrap heap. Everything is exposition.
You're a wanted man, so everyone in the city knows your face, but this mask will mean terror to them.
Show Don't Tell was apparently left dying on the bathroom floor when the dialogue for this game was being written. It almost comes full circle, going from bad to being funny, with just how much exposition the characters try to crowbar into the simplest sentences. Here's an example of a typical conversation in Dishonored. "Hello Corvo, here's a big sword that you love because you want to get revenge on that guy who framed you, and so we can put the rightful heir in place, then everything will be better because the good guys would have won and you can go back to being the bestest guy in the land." It is so freaking dry. The rest of the plot essentially unfolds in just as dry a manner, with you taking out every bad person in power until the final twist in the third act, and then an absolute nothing of an ending. And it's a shame since, as I said, the world is so well realised and imaginative that this particular story feels like that one really parched part of an otherwise moist, delicious blueberry muffin. When I first wrote this, I described the gameplay as being like any other immersive sim but with the training wheels on. That's probably unfair since Dishonored isn't trying to be Deus Ex or Prey 2017. It's most like trying to be Thief but with a significant amount of streamlining. You're tasked with going to a number of locales and taking out key members of the insurrection either lethally or non-lethally using a variety of different powers. The powers themselves are fun to use. The Blink Teleport lets you zip to hard to reach spots. Slowing down time does exactly what it says. Dark Vision lets you see key items and people through walls. And Possession lets you possess rats and cheat your way to the end of the game. Seriously, every time it looked like I was going to have to pull off a series of miracles to get to my objective, a rat would appear next to an open rat-sized grate that conveniently would take me to my next destination. If Prey 2017 is your regular kind of immersive sim, then Dishonored is immersive sim light, or zero, or whatever your preferred term for a diet beverage is. It still keeps the spirit of a systemic world that offers multiple paths to your goals, but just in a significantly streamlined way. The biggest letdown on the gameplay side is the enemies. Firstly, they're not as reactionary as you would hope. They would often just walk past dead or unconscious bodies without noticing or raising the alarm, and there isn't a great variety of them. For 90% of the game, you're just dealing with pedestrian, run-of-the-mill security guards and police, most of whom are too busy muttering to themselves about how they're getting friend-zoned to even notice you. And what's worse is that whilst you're continuously gaining new abilities and improving how good you are at possessing rats, the guards just continue being regular old guards. Yes, they introduce the tall boys, and there's that one section where you have to deal with the teleporting assassins, but at no point do these all converge for the ultimate challenge. As I said, the world building in Dishonored puts in a lot more effort than most games, and that is further enhanced by the visual design of everything. I sometimes forgot I was playing an 8-year-old game, as although technically the game doesn't do anything groundbreaking, the visual design is pretty stellar. At times it's reminiscent of the look of Half-Life 2, which probably isn't a coincidence considering the visual design director for Dishonored, Viktor Antonov, also worked on Half-Life 2. Even the characters that I've spent most of this video whinging about have a very distinctive look to them that is still pretty unique to this day outside of Arkane's other works, even if there are probably a few too many characters that fall into the realm of angry bald guy. But hey, Breaking Bad got away with that, so it's cool. The audio, however, is nowhere near as distinctive. That isn't to say it's bad, it's just not noticeable. Thinking back, I can't really remember any of the musical themes sticking out or any particular aspects of the sound design that grabbed my attention.
I'm a friend of Pendleton's, and I've done a few favors for your cause. I know your purpose here tonight, and how to say this, your target is the woman I love.
The The audio was fine enough that nothing stuck out as bad. Perhaps I was keeping an extra ear out because the music and sound design of Prey 2017, yes I am going to keep talking about it, was absolutely exquisite, and I had hoped that a seed of that work would have appeared in Dishonored, but hey ho, never mind. I gushed about Prey 2017 at the start of this video, and probably quite a bit throughout, to give context to the rest of this review. I'm a man that played Dishonored 8 years after it came out, and after playing its much more fleshed out and better presented younger sibling. So it was always going to be an uphill struggle for Dishonored. But despite that, I still had a fun time with it, and would still recommend it to the 3 people on Earth who probably haven't played it yet. Although when I said I had fun, that was purely down to the gameplay. The story was just depressing, and that's not because of the aforementioned skin-wearing Victorian robots. I couldn't quite put my finger down on what was making me not like the story, and then I realised that playing this in January 2021, a game about a tale of a bunch of wankers trying to carry out an insurrection against the backdrop of a deadly pandemic, was probably hitting a little bit too close to home.